Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Empowerment Hour with Ali Kay. My special guest this evening is Caroline Giorgio.
Hi,
Giorgio, sorry,
George. That's okay.
Giorgio, and she is an inner dance facilitator. So I have never actually heard of inner dance before, but I saw an advertisement for her event, which is this Friday in Glasgow. And I read the blurb and thought, wow, that sounds incredible. Posted it to two of my friends who also said, wow, that sounds amazing. So that's what me and my friends are going to be doing on Friday evening. So I thought it would be good to invite Caroline onto the show because if this is new to me, the chances are it may very well be new to some of you, and it's all about sharing different healing tools, resources, and just, yeah, sharing new things. So, welcome, Caroline.
Hi there. Thank you so much for the invitation to join you tonight, Ali. I was
Well,
really touched by that.
well, I was really glad you were available. That's fantastic. So, do you want to just start by telling us a wee bit about yourself? And then, if you could tell us exactly what inner dance is, because Dolly quite um, reasonably assumed it was to do with dancing because of
Yeah,
the name,
yeah.
but obviously it's not at all. So, yeah, if you would just like to share a wee bit about yourself, first of all.
Sure. So as you know, my name is Caroline, and I've been a counsellor for coming up to 25 years. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I specialised in somatic movement education and therapy. And in these last few years, I've really come to support people to befriend their bodies and to work very consciously with sensation and all of the rich resources available to us that many of us can be largely disconnected from. So it was really sort of that pathway that kind of led me towards inner dance without me even knowing about it. But essentially, inner dance, it's a spiritual practice, but rooted very much in neuroscience, and it's working with carefully sculpted sounds and vibration to stimulate electrical spread through the body and through the brain, and to do so in particular patterns which mimic the wave patterns that we experience during REM sleep cycles. And in this process, we enter a blended consciousness state, which is like a lucid dream. And we can see images, we can experience sensation. And really, what happens is energy begins to try to flow again in the body where it might be blocked due to injury or past life trauma or trauma from our current lives. And so, essentially, it's a practice that supports individuals to return to a very innate state of self healing and love. So that's very much in a very brief nutshell of what it is.
That's absolutely fascinating. So I don't know about Dolly. She'll no doubt chip in at the end. I can speak for myself and say that as a highly sensitive person
Yeah,
growing up in a chaotic household, I spent a huge amount of my time, my life, completely dissociated from my body without
sure.
realizing. And as
Yeah,
I've mentioned on previous shows, I was very much into all of the spiritual practices and very much into all the energetic work.
sure.
And it's only in the last couple of years, really, that I have started understanding the importance of the body work. And
Yes.
an example of that is so I'm in Lee Harris's Portal membership, and I love all the energy downloads that we get, and every time there's every month we get posted a body session, body work session, and I never ever did them. I do
Right.
yoga,
Uh-huh.
but also so I've been learning a lot about the importance of caring for our nervous system
Mhm.
for everybody on the planet, I would say, and never more so than now. And particularly the highly sensitives. And I've been trying what I've been getting called to over the last year. I've just been trying all different things like drumming and the ecstatic dance and sound baths. So yeah, I've been exploring, and I'm really excited. I did have a look at your website, and it looks like there's been quite extensive training
Yes.
um, to do this. So how did you stumble across it, first of all?
Well, it's about 5 years ago. I was studying my master's in somatic movement education down in Preston, and a colleague and friend of mine is a facilitator, and she knew of someone who's a very advanced practitioner, Katie Holland, and she was happened to be in the country offering a session. So we went along, and I, like many other people, thought, well, it's going to be essentially movement based, it's going to be dancing. So I was really surprised when we had to bring yoga mats and we sat down and something entirely different and unexpected happened. And Katie spoke a little bit about, I can't even remember, I just remember feeling a sort of an ineffable shift in my energetic state. And we had to lie down on our backs with eyes closed for an hour, and she played music. And intuitive touch was also offered as part of the process. And the music was fascinating. It was quite jarring, and my body began to react in really unexpected ways. And throughout the journey, she and the co facilitator were checking in on everybody and offering touch or energy healing to support a deepening. And at one point, I felt quite stuck and I had this real urge to stand up. So I did. And as I did, I began to see in the corner of the room, it looked like a goddess, and she was floating in midair and she was beckoning to me. And I felt this sense of clarity into my body, and I felt like she was initiating me into something very sacred. And I was mind blown. I'd never experienced anything like that before. I'd never taken any plant based medicine or psychedelics. So I'd never had an experience like that during my waking state. I have quite vivid dreams, but this was something else entirely. And I was immediately taken, I need to know more about this. I don't understand what was going on, but now I am focused fully on this. So I signed up for the next available training, and then I had to finish off my thesis, and then we went into lockdown. And so I just kind of waited for a couple of years, just waiting for training in person to recommence. And the second it did, I signed up, and I just understood that there was just so much more and more to know. So I did my facilitator training and then began holding sessions monthly. Then had the opportunity to train, do an intensive 3 month online with the founder. His name is Pai, and he's based in the Philippines. And then I got a chance to do a 6 day intensive in Finland this year. And then I did more training in Paris with Katie and Antonia. And then I went to Turkey to do more training with Pai. So it's been a really intense journey of learning and practice to deepen my knowledge and understanding of what this really is and how to hold deep and conscious safe spaces for others to self heal and journey in these ways.
Sounds amazing. You do realize you've set an incredibly high expectation for me now for Friday night. No,
Yeah, leave
no,
those
I'm going.
expectations at the front door.
Yeah, don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah,
Because visualizing is not something that I've managed to master
yeah.
yet, and I don't know
Well,
if that's to do with my neurodiverse brain or whether it's just something that's currently blocked or not blossomed quite yet. So no
sure,
expectations. I just
absolutely.
this
And
is the way I, sorry.
sorry, I'm bumping into you. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say this is the way I've kind of vibed for the last 30 years on my spiritual path. I just see something and it beckons me, and I just go, and half the time I don't even really know what I'm going to, but I know
Yeah,
it's probably going to be great. And usually I'm not disappointed. So I am quite fascinated. And even when I said, tell me how you found inner dance, but probably it found you. That seems
absolutely.
to be the way these things go, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's a consistent theme in the people around the globe who've are called to inner dance. They don't know why, but they just turn up at a session, and then very quickly they become dedicated students and become trained in it. But just wanting to refer to what you said about not visualizing, so what happens is, currents of electricity will begin to spread through all the different lobes of the brain. And for some people, the occipital lobe, which sort of generates the image, that becomes quite activated. So many people have images, but many people also might smell something that's not there, or they might experience electricity in the body through the sympathetic nervous system. So, or they might sense a shift in time perception. So there's lots of different ways, and not everybody dreams in image. So I'm really curious to how your body finds its way through the journey. It'll be fascinating to support you through that, and then to hear about it afterwards.
It's quite interesting. You said you've never tried plant medicines. Well, I have, and
Uh-huh.
with plant medicine, I have had visuals.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so I guess that means the potential's there. So obviously there's well, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. I'll not be expecting to see any goddesses so that I'm not too disappointed. Maybe that's because she was coming to call you into the training. So
Perhaps.
how so have you did you have to go over to the Philippines then to
No,
train with Pi?
no, not yet. So he's just finished sort of a European tour. I'm not sure I can go to the Philippines. He actually has an eco village in one of the islands, but I'm not sure I'd ever come back. So I'm keeping my training this side of the world for now,
Yeah.
but it might happen sooner rather than later.
So is this if funnily and what was I going to say? There was something and it was to do with it doesn't matter, it will come back to me. I'll not waste time. Um it will come back to me. So obviously I um know Lilia Sinclair from Heal Scotland, and then all after I was speaking to you and have booked on to yours, actually I have Vida, can't remember her second name, coming on the show to speak about the family constellations, and then I find out that she is also an inner dance facilitator.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
how new is this? Why have I not heard of it before? And how widespread is this in the UK? Do you know?
Well, it's becoming more and more popular in the UK. It was born essentially out of Pi's spiritual awakening, so it's about 17, 18 years old, and it's global. So it has extremely widespread popularity, and that's increasing, particularly after lockdown. And because of the scope of this particular practice, it's being piloted in prison systems, working with military personnel, working with night shift call center staff, for example. They've actually been in talks with the education department in the Philippines, and alongside the children, they made a new space to integrate this into the school curriculum, working with neuroscience, well-being, and sound. So,
Sorry, whereabouts was that in the schools?
in the Philippines, and I
Ah,
think
right.
they're doing stuff in the schools in South Africa as well. And in January, I'll be running a pilot project in one of the local primary schools in Dundee as well. So there's
Awesome.
this really can be taken into every area where well-being is a priority.
And one of the good things about it, so I have a brother with mental health problems,
Uh-huh.
and tomorrow I'm actually taking him to a friend who's going to be coming on the show at some stage as another one of the presenters. And he and his partner do Reiki and reflexology treatments. And the
Lovely.
reason why this is fabulous for my brother, um, there is a link to what you're talking about. Trying to have any kind of talking therapy with my brother just ends up in ranting, and
Hmm.
Jason's really a really skilled therapist, but
Yeah.
he found it incredibly challenging. So what you're talking about with the inner dance, that's it's come back to me what it was I was going to say. When I was at the goddess gathering with Lilia, we did lots of different things over the 2 days. And when you said the music was really jarring,
Hmm.
we did have a small session on one of the days where we lay down and she played some music and she did say you might really hate this. So
Yeah,
I wonder if it was, something similar or a wee kind of
possibly.
taster. I don't think anybody did really hate it. It was unusual music.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'll be curious to see if it's similar. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about when you were
yeah.
talking about the
Well,
music being jarring.
yeah. Well, firstly, spoken language is the last sort of venture of the body. The language of the body is sensation, it's energy, it's movement. And so talking therapies, they have their place, of course they do, but it's not for everybody. And I think it's wonderful that your brother's found some other ways to support himself that bypass something that activates his nervous system and might be quite overwhelming and agitating for him. But part of what we do in inner dance, so we're working with specific sounds that stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. So we're trying to evoke heightened experiences whilst also down regulating the parasympathetic nervous system. So we're decreasing magnetism. And what that really does is it supports someone to feel deeply rooted and held, so really contained and safe, so that when the energy of, for example, anger or fear or whatever is blocked begins to rise in the body, that they're able to experience it without feeling scared.
Yeah, that's
So,
really interesting.
yeah,
We'll see how.
yeah,
And well, yeah, I'll see how it goes with me. And
yeah,
actually, this treatment that he's getting was one of his Christmas presents from last year.
lovely.
So maybe a Christmas present for this year will be to try and invite him along, if he's a
Yeah,
willing participant
well,
to this. Do
yeah.
you have many men come along as a matter of interest?
So far, there's a few men that come to the Dundee sessions. And obviously, Pie's a man. So I think in the UK, it seems to be certainly there's a lot, it seems to be a lot more female facilitators, but globally, actually, there's actually more men involved that I'm aware of. So it can be 50-50, but it's certainly not only for women. And
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that, because for me, healing in community can't take place unless we're all welcome and we're all present. So it's really nice to see when more men come along as well, because they've got so much to offer. And when we're trying to rebalance the energies of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, it's really nice to have that mix in the room.
No, exactly. I have absolutely shied away from working with men.
Hmm.
And yet, just this year, I seem to be supporting a couple of young men in particular,
Right.
and when I did go to a plant medicine ceremony, it
Uh,
was really nice to be in a room with, it was half and half, female
yeah,
and male, and I thought, finally,
yeah,
finally. But obviously, a lot of the spiritual things are maybe the guys might feel it's not really their thing or it's a bit intimidating. I mean, I've gone to events where there's been like 33 people and 30 of them are women and
hmm,
two of the guys are gay, and it's one heterosexual man in amongst all of those. And you're like, well done you for coming.
hmm,
Um, and I feel, I mean, I was talking about this because of these young men that have been reaching out to me, and I'm thinking there's really needing they're calling out for help, they're
yeah,
reaching out for help, and it's really nice. I've gone to workshops in the past where a couple have maybe come along, and I'm like, how awesome would that be, to have a partner that's on
mhm,
the journey with you.
yeah,
So yeah, the more I agree 100% as we're healing the feminine and the masculine,
yes,
definitely needs more spaces to bring the different sexes together, also to bring different age groups together. We've become so segregated.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, so those intergenerational spaces, because there's so much that we can learn from each other and so much wisdom that's not nurtured, and there's no real opportunity to pass those stories, that wisdom down, like in the more indigenous cultures and communities. So couldn't agree more.
So is this something you're going to be doing on a regular basis then for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So inner dance is it's a way of being and it's a way of life. It really takes hold of your heart, and so my full focus is towards inner dance. So I offer monthly sessions in Dundee, Perth, and Glasgow. I do weekly online sessions. I do in person. I write a blog, and I'm sort of trying to initiate pilot projects and workshops. And I'm one of 4 UK facilitators who've been invited to be trainers for the next upcoming year-long intensive training. So there's a lot happening and a lot still to come. So this is life now.
Yeah, no, I find it really interesting. I do feel as though so many people on the journey that have got lots of different skills or talents or gifts to offer have felt quite alone. And I feel
Yeah.
as though we're kind of all finding each other. Um, um,
Yeah.
and who knows what ventures are going to be born in the future. Because you keep seeing the gaps and the people that are slipping through the cracks and not
Hmm.
getting the care and the healing, and it's quite heartbreaking to
Yeah.
watch. So yeah, I find it really encouraging. So tell me more about the. I guess this is for everybody. Is there particular groups that I'm really interested with my neurodiversity to see what
Yep.
this can do for me?
Absolutely. So it absolutely is for everybody. It's a very potent practice. And so obviously we need to make sure that everybody feels well enough to be able to undertake it. And if somebody's in the middle of a crisis, then just as in counselling, there's an assessment process to make sure that people feel grounded and well enough to be able to look after themselves with their integration process, because this can unearth a lot of old stories. It creates change, and just like the caterpillar transforming into the butterfly, we can go through a death process, so it can feel very painful. I'm not saying that happens for everybody, but I've had quite a few deaths myself through this process. So we just want to make sure that everybody feels well enough and able to undertake this kind of practice, but it is essentially open to anyone, and I trust that whoever reaches out and wants to have a go, there's something about the work that's calling them. And I trust that because I trust this consciousness implicitly. So,
Yeah, I am starting to think of just about everything as a consciousness now.
yeah, yes.
I
Yeah,
feel
we
as though
everywhere.
when an idea comes to you, that's a consciousness. And if you don't run with the idea, it doesn't
Yeah,
need to be instantly, but if too much time has passed and you've not grabbed onto that and started breathing life into it, then the idea is going to go to somebody else. I've witnessed that.
yeah,
I don't know, was it Melissa Gilbert? Is that her name? Big Magic. I read that book and that talked about that as well. And at
yeah.
the moment, I am about to be, I've put myself forward for voluntary redundancy, even though I'm terrified about letting go of the income,
Uh-huh.
but I'm trusting the intuition that,
Wow.
but it feels as though I need, and everyone's saying, well, you're not just go and get another job. And I'm like, no, no, it's just a hard no. And if it comes to the point that I have to go and get another job, then I will. But I need to leave the energy. I need to
Yeah.
leave the I can't, I'm going out for my work Christmas lunch. I can't talk like this in front of these corporate people.
Okay.
I had a conversation with my boss once, and he actually leaned over and held my arm and said, "Let's never speak of these things again."
Wow.
That's so it's like, no, I need to get out of this energy of this work and have that space to
Yeah.
then see what else unfolds. So yeah, no
Absolutely.
doubt this is going to be shifting me and helping me with the changes.
I'm just really in admiration of your courage to follow your soul's calling to step into that space and create what you want and need in your life. I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
yeah,
I'm a single parent. I have a dog. Don't have parents to support me, and it's like 90% of me is in trust and faith,
yeah,
and the intuition is strong.
yeah,
And then every now and then, as we do, there's a human part of me that has this total wobble of what are you doing? What are you doing? But then all these tools like yourself just turn up in my life that are going to be another wee piece in the jigsaw puzzle, going to uncover something else. And yeah, I totally resonate with the deaths. I think
yeah,
we are all going through, I call them dark nights of the soul, the
yeah.
contraction before the expansion. And
Absolutely, and that's actually one of there's new waves in the music that we use now, but in the old waves, one of the stages is Dark Night of the Soul. So it's like mimicking the principles of the hero's journey. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
fantastic, fantastic. So, Dolly, I'm sure you'll have some questions to ask here if you're wishing to jump in and ask anything.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I've just been looking while I've been listening. I've been looking at where I can do inner dance in my area.
It
Where are you,
sounds
So,
awesome,
Dolly?
doesn't it?
Where?
so I'm in South Manchester, so it's Cheshire, Manchester,
Right. Oh, you
and
will
there is,
for sure there
yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, but it sounds really interesting. You know,
Yeah.
it's so. So just to ask, do you practice this on a daily basis, or is it a weekly, or is it when you just do the sessions with people?
No, so for me to really know this consciousness intimately, I practice this for myself every day. And
Right.
part of that's the space that I hold for others online in groups or one-to-ones. But I always I'm always working with this energy, either when it's lying down and having an inner dance for myself, or whether it's when you start to create soundscapes, you enter that consciousness. And the more you do it, you begin to create a blended conscious state where you're kind of, it's like that space in between wake and sleep. And
Yeah.
so that seems to be the space that I'm in most of the time now.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, it's
That
been,
Floating.
sounds interesting.
You sound like you're floating. So is it so just to ask as well, is it particular music that you use or is it complete silence or how does it work?
okay. So you can work with particular, so you can look up, for example, for a novice, you might want to look up particular songs that have
Right.
delta waves or theta or gamma, and what we're wanting to stimulate these brain waves all at once so that they sort of come together and start to talk to each other, so the left and right brain begin to dialogue, and that's really where the magic happens. But what we're trying to do is, so we're going to look for sounds that really bring deep relaxation and rest. And at the same time, we're going to start bringing in sounds. So I'll use songs because I'm not a musician, so I can't create my own music yet. So I'll look for songs and I'll look for sounds from the natural world or the man made world that'll start to maybe bring adrenaline into the body. So a sound that surprises or irritates the nervous system. So it starts to bring the chemistry up into a more heightened state, and then it's met with sounds that then also meet it so that it feels relaxed at the same time. So there's really no wrong, but it's a bit of an art form. Once you really get to understand the consciousness, the soundscapes really start to create themselves. So
So
for
so yeah, so
yeah,
do you use hertz as well then? So you do use different
you can.
frequencies or is it just within the songs
Yeah,
and
so
sounds that you use?
yeah, so it's every person that'll create them differently. You can look at the hertz, and some people are guided by that. What I do, because I'm so somatically trained, when I hear music, I track what's happening in my body, and that tells me if that's the right sound in the right place. So that's my particular way of working with music. But you can absolutely, you could do it by looking at the hertz of a song and going, right, this is the hertz that corresponds with this particular brainwave. So I'm going to put that in at this point where I need to create more sort of, I don't know, alpha or theta to support somebody to really start to go into a more dream state.
Right. Sounds amazing. I'm definitely now sort of Ali's going and you're talking about I'm definitely going. Just to
Oh,
ask the question as well.
yeah,
So obviously sort of within this it brings up stuff and blockages and things like that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when you do the evening, so for example with Ali and her friends,
Mm-hmm.
is do you sort of follow up how
Yeah,
people are and and what are people told to drink more water or not
absolutely.
drink eat certain foods or drink certain things? How does it work sort of before and afterwards?
Okay, so really, as soon as someone says yes and that they're going to come, they're already in the inner dance energy, and they might start to notice patterns or synchronicities or odd things happening. And then, so when we arrive, we always gather in a confidential circle and say hello to each other and sort of name what's going on for us. And that really helps to support each other in the space that we're in this together and that we're joining a collective dream experience. And then I might talk a little bit about what inner dance is and naming actually the qualities of the energy that are present between us as a collective. So I'm really tuning in to what I'm sensing. And what's really important is that the invitation that this is an unconditional time and space to forget everything you think you know about yourself, all expectations, put them down, and to go into a deep remembering of your innate resources because this isn't happening to you. Your body already knows how to do this. It's just maybe never been taught, it might never have been nurtured, or that there might be just chronic stress that it's just not able to enter the state without a little bit of help. So then people go on their journey, and through that time, I'm sort of really keeping a close eye on everybody. So it's helping stimulate people if they need it, or helping relax people. And I'll be offering touch as well. And then at the end, because people tend to go deeper than they think they do, so that affects parts of the brain like the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area, and they're responsible for language and comprehension. So it can take people a little bit of time before they're able to talk again or even to make meaning of their experiences. So we take time to draw or write, be in silence and rest. And I always bring home baking with me because it's really important to ground the energy in the body through eating. And then when people start to slowly come back into their physical bodies, then we take time to share so that it starts to actually people start to realize that there are themes happening, and some people might see or feel the same things, they might have similar sensations, and that's really enlightening when that happens. And then obviously there's that aftercare of really listening to the body and going gently. There might be vivid dreaming, it might be quite difficult to sleep, so making sure that you eat food that, sometimes I'm really sort of craving sugar afterwards, and if that doesn't settle me, I might try something salty. So it's really about what my nervous system's seeking to bring back homeostasis. And then what I always do is the next day I'll send a follow-up email. And I actually go into a bit of detail about what my journey was like afterwards as a way to mirror how you can track your own and also to keep that energy going. And the invitation is always to meet yourself with love and kindness and be curious to whatever comes up. And if at any point anyone wants to reach out, simply either to acknowledge and name an experience or that they're looking for some support for integration, then I'm available for that because this is an ongoing practice and I'm in it too. So I have my own experience of what that's like, and I know how important it is to know that there's somebody out there and that if you reach out, I am there. So that's how I certainly do it anyway. That's a kind of long
That
answer to the question.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, I'm really looking forward to. I'm hoping Ali is going to talk to us about her experience after Friday, and
Yeah.
we can know.
100%, 100%.
Yeah,
So
looking
that
forward to it, Ali.
do you know, believe it or not, so Friday night is the inner dance, and I'm going to ask more about the weekly and what I can do for myself following it, because
Yeah.
I'm already assuming that I'm going to love it, and that'll be me hooked. And on And on Saturday, then I'm going for my first ever sweat lodge, which
Yeah.
I am slightly apprehensive about and super excited because for some reason for years I think I must have been a Native American Indian or something. Although I know we had Celtic sweat lodges, if not, they've been all over the world.
Hmm.
Um, so I was then thinking, is this going to be too much? But do you know what? I have been known to kind of really jump in at the deep end, and I'm sure I'll be fine and supported. So yes, my friend Heidi is going to be coming with me to both events, and I
Wow.
had said to her, "How do you fancy coming on the show?" Because it'd be really good for us just to have a chat about our experiences to let
Yeah.
people know. Um, so back to, I'm assuming the classes are not going to be, you'll have a limited amount of people. What's the kind of maximum that you would have given that you're kind of looking after everybody?
Sure. Well, it depends on the space. So the Arlington's a smaller space, so I might have, say, maximum 8 or 9. But in a bigger space, for example, my particular comfort zone, and due to my level of sort of training and experience as a trauma specialist, I probably about 16 to 18. Um, but there seems to be a theme in my particular inner dances where people, if they allow themselves to, they go very deep. And so they can have quite cosmic or sort of astral travel experiences. But whereas it might be with another facilitator that there's actually a lot of movement and people might stand up and they might be a bit more dynamic or kinesthetic than what happens in my sessions. So it's up to the facilitator to be able to, ethically assess their own skill set, and
Sure.
also the type of energy that manifests when they're holding space. If it was more kinesthetic in my spaces, then I would reduce the numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it's like lots of different, um, I'll say therapies, because I'm not sure of the right word, where the practitioner or facilitator adds their own particular flavor to,
Sure.
the basic training. No,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
even more excited now having spoken to you. I can't I can't wait to try this. I have always been, I've never astral traveled. Well, I'm saying that I certainly used to have dreams of flying quite a lot.
Okay.
Um, we used to go to a holiday home near Dunoon. I don't know if you know where that is. We had a wee holiday home in Sandbank,
Mm-hmm.
and there was an American naval base. And as a
Yeah.
younger, as probably an early teen, maybe 12 or something, 13, round about that, I regularly used to be on one of the hills, and then I would fly, and I would actually go into the water and under the
Yeah.
American naval base and out the other end.
Wow.
I'd just go under the water and then away back up to the hill at the other side. And that was a recurring thing. So I'm not quite sure because I didn't really have any awareness of any of this
Yeah.
stuff, the
Yeah.
altered states of consciousness. I have a friend who I might see if he'll come in and chat sometime. He talks to me about his astral traveling and tries to guide me. But then he tells me a really scary story of, I'm like, no, you're not encouraging me. That sounds terrifying. But no, this all sounds absolutely amazing. I see
Yeah.
you have joined us, Jay. Do you have any questions for Caroline? Jay and I, after last week's show, Jay, Andy, and I were all talking, and I actually read out your description of
I
what it
have.
was that I was attending. And yeah, he had expressed Andy and Jay thought it sounded really interesting as well. Hi, Jay.
Yeah.
I.
Hiya. Yeah, no, I've only just literally just
Joined
joined
us.
joined in. Yeah, I mean, I have lucid dreams. If that's what you've spoken about already. The astro, I'm not sure. Like you, I've done the flying and all that sort of stuff, but I'm aware that I'm dreaming
Yeah.
when I'm dreaming. But yeah, no, looking forward to listening.
No, thanks.
Yeah. Well, and I will report back in a later show. funnily enough, just going slightly off topic, but just Caroline was just explaining to us that through the sound and what's being activated in the brain and our nervous system, etc., and the chemicals that are getting deliberately activated, we can go into lucid dreaming states and kind of have
Yeah.
cosmic experiences. I have actually just received from Arnica Herb. I was trying to get Blue Lotus and I seem to have
Right.
ordered the wrong thing. I've had Blue Lotus before,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lucid dreaming mix and it's mugwort, vervain,
Oh yes.
burdock, ginkgo, and Blue Lotus.
Oh wow.
So I won't be trying that on Friday. I'll just
Well,
leave it
a lot
totally up to you.
lot people do, and there are some facilitators who use Blue Lotus as sort of a companion to inner dance, and I know mugwort's just a wonderful grounding sort of beautiful herb. So yeah, it would be up to you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, no, I've just been when I said so. I started off just with flower remedies in the same way that
Uh-huh.
I don't have any real experience of homeopathy other than when I was perimenopausal after years of my hormones being a nightmare. Breezed through the menopause thanks to homeopathy, and then I've now built up quite a big medicine box of
Hmm.
different homeopathic remedies and also the just flower remedies.
Yeah.
Um, but this is a wee bit new, and I don't even know where Blue Lotus turned up. But that's quite interesting that this has just turned up at the same time as the inner dance.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I used to microdose with Blue Lotus, so she really is a beautiful lily, and like one of the most ancient, I think. Yeah, and I think it's one of the only plants or that essentially the structure of DNA structure has remained almost unchanged in the centuries. Hundreds of thousands of years Blue Lotus has been around. So it can really bring you back into those deep rooted ancient knowings. So it'll be interesting to hear how you get on with that.
Yeah, yeah. I've not. It's sitting at the side of my bed on my altar with all my crystals and
Mm,
feathers and all my things that I have. So there is a slight fear. I'll maybe wait till after Friday and see what happens then, and then I'll
yeah.
maybe try because I tried a wee mini dose, but I didn't go for the full dose for the lucid dreaming because there probably is a fear on my own. That's
Hmm.
why I think it's nice to be coming to something like Friday's. I'm going to
Yeah.
call it an event because I'm sure it is going to be an event coming along on Friday and having somebody there holding the space
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
feels safer for me.
Yeah, and I think that's true for many people. It's like in some ways, it's like, I'm the anchor, and I'm really sort of tending to everybody and everything that's taking place within the space, which hopefully becomes an invitation for people to yield and to allow the experience, which is difficult for many people because we're so chronically stressed and our nervous system is overworked that to soften and let go can feel very difficult. So to have that level of safety taken care of can be a great help and reassurance for many people.
Yeah, that really resonates. Surrendering has been something I've been working on for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
So as a recovering perfectionist control freak,
Mm-hmm.
um, surrender hasn't been easy. I've actually had theta sessions with my
Oh yeah.
theta teacher, and it's like, well, what's the worst thing about surrender? And I'm like, well, then you're taken prisoner and you torture,
Right.
killed,
Yeah.
It's all these what's going on in my subconscious mind about,
Yeah.
well, that's what happens if I surrender, and it's trying to reframe that
Yeah.
to just letting go and
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
So
think, even those words are really loaded, aren't they? Surrender, letting go. That can feel like giving up, and it can feel like losing control.
yeah,
And
and trust
trust.
is So
Trust.
that's one of
Yeah.
the things I mentioned my brother
Yeah.
earlier. So serious lack of trust, and when you've got trust issues, if that, from early
Yeah.
life or whatever
Yeah.
you've been through,
Hmm.
letting go is not the easiest thing in the world. So anything that can
No.
kind of help with that, and it
Yeah.
sounds as though this kind of sound journey um, is obviously a process to assist.
Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly enough, so Pi, when he came back from his he was on an island on his own for 2 years as he went through a spiritual detox. And when he began to introduce his practice to others, they, in their excitement, decided to call it inner dance. But he himself says that if he could rename it, he would call this process trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I I come along on Friday night.
You
I
do?
have the most awesome experience of my life, and then obviously I want to keep doing more of it. So you're telling me you do an online weekly event?
I do, yeah. So every Monday, we have a group that gather, and basically, from the comfort of your own home, you get to feel into the discomfort of awakening and remembering who you really are. That's how I like to put it. There's something about paradox that's really important within the inner dance process. So you can set up your nest, you can be on your bed, on a yoga mat, wherever feels comfortable for you. And it's some time and space to be invited by every sound to discover just a little bit more about yourself. And for many people, they're very surprised actually how potent it is, even through the virtual space. That we all know that consciousness transcends the screen, and that we're working with vibration. And so it's so amazingly powerful online. And for me, as if holding space, I'm really taken by the depth of experience I have holding the space, and almost going into a different level of trance as I'm sort of astral traveling and supporting everybody and experiencing for myself what's happening with the sound. So yeah, I guess I'm just saying that because I know lots of people obviously naturally prefer in person, and I think online can get a bad rap. But being someone who spends a lot of time supporting people in many capacities online, it's like we really do transcend the screen.
No, I 100% hear you. When I first learned Reiki in 1999,
Uh-huh.
and I learned the distant healing, at first I just could not get my head around it. But
Hmm.
after using it and sending, my, I think, intention with the Reiki energy forward to an event, and then all these things happened. It was just undeniable
Yeah,
evidence to me, and it just seemed like magic. And I am
yeah.
one of my mantras just now is that I am inviting magic and miracles into my life. So this sounds great. And most of my theta sessions that I have on myself or I have done with other people, because of when I did start learning it,
Hmm.
most of them have been done distantly. So as
Yeah,
I've said, right now I'm in my bedroom. My bedroom is my temple. It's my where I do my meditating or, any of this kind of stuff. So it's a total safe space for me.
sure.
And I think for some people, there can be that you're not in a room with all these other people that you don't know. You're in your safe space, and that might just help
Ab-
slightly with allowing the letting go.
Absolutely. So, it has its pros, it has its cons, but it can bring its own kind of safety and containment, certainly. And it makes it more accessible for people because not everybody, has access to a vehicle or feels comfortable even to leave the house or to try something new. So this is a way to make it maybe less confrontational, less daunting, if that's how someone might perceive it to start.
Yeah, yeah, and all about what you're saying about, awakening to more of who we are. This
Yeah,
is where we are as a species at the moment.
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
and all of this is another tool to help us to shed the ideas of who we thought we were and to actually get in touch with who we really are. And and the
Yeah,
capabilities that we've not tapped into yet.
totally. Totally. It's a real time of ascension, isn't it? There's energy rising for sure.
So, as well as the weekly things, is like you're saying you work on yourself with this on a daily basis, but then you've had all the training in it. So, just for a normal, an untrained person like me, um, can you just could I be going away and working on myself?
Absolutely, absolutely. So there are facilitators around the globe, and so there'll be people local to you perhaps, and if not, they'll be offering stuff online. And so, I've got people that come, and the only time they do inner dance is with me online, for example, and then they go about their business and then they come back the week later. So this is about self-healing, so you don't need anybody else to do this. This is about I'm supporting the conditions that make this easier for people to do. Yeah, so it's self-healing. This is really about retraining the body to remember to know exactly how it can function, and the innate potential that can be so chronically inhibited or depressed or denied. So yeah, go for it.
I can't wait. So when I'm wondering, because of the altered states of consciousness
Hmm.
during the experience, in certain plant medicine ceremonies, it's definitely a consciousness that comes and it joins or teaches. Some talk about a
Hmm.
teacher. Um, what have you do you get shown parts of yourself that you don't like, or how what kind of
Yeah.
things can happen?
Okay. Yeah, lots anything can happen. So essentially we're tapping into our DNA. So there's an infinite number of stories in past, present, future that are available to us. And it's like we enter new dimensions to live out those stories. So um on my first training in Finland, we would have a first session. We'd have a session first thing in the morning while we were still in the sort of hypnagogic sleepy state, and I was walking towards the space where the session was being held, and I looked down, and there were two bees on my leg, and one of them stung me, and I've never been stung by a bumblebee before, but so I was like, wow, what's this about? Anyway, so I went in and had an inner dance, and for 3 days I journeyed with this bee medicine, and bees were in my brain. They were talking to me. They were telling me that we had to liberate the ancestors, that bees know everything, and so that was a particular theme that was happening for me after my bee sting. Some people feel just really rooted to the ground, and it's a very physical or visceral experience, and they're conscious of everything that's happening, but they're so deeply in rest. Other people have had visions of being underwater or being underground, and they go through sort of like a death process. Some people get really stuck in their head, and they kind of loop about, and that might be what happens in their waking day. So it's inviting people just to be, not to judge any of their experiences, but just to stay curious to that. I myself sometimes, particularly if I've had a really busy time, sometimes my body's in deep rest, but my brain's just whirring round and round and round. And it was about 2 weeks ago, I was just like, oh, I'm having one of those inner dances where the electricity is just looping in the brain. And then as soon as I was able to accept it without judgment, I just had this image, and it was quite an unusual image, but I had an image of an ice pick, and I gave myself an orbital lobotomy, and it poked into my left brain, and then all this breath and all this tension just released through my body, and then I was able to go into something deeper. So no two people will have the same journeys, and there's no wrong journey. It's all information. It's all about where the energy and the medicine within wants to go to draw your attention to something.
You're saying that, and I'm thinking, no, I have a very active brain. But then the very next thought was just set your intention,
Yeah,
and also there's always another time to try it. Because like
absolutely,
so many different
absolutely.
things, it can be very different each time depending on
Yeah,
I mean, you're saying because we're booked on, it's starting working
Yeah,
on us,
yeah,
and I
you're in it.
totally get that. So many times I've booked onto a workshop and then things are happening the week
Yeah,
running up to it, or you're walking into the workshop and you're aware that something's significantly shifted in
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, it's quite. I love having these conversations that you can't have. Um, you go to these workshops and you're surrounded by all the like-minded people, and you're in all this magic and miracles and
mm,
multidimensionality, and it's all so real and true.
yeah,
And then you go back out into your normal daily life,
mhm,
and there's
yeah,
only a certain number of people that you can talk to about these things. So I always welcome and really enjoy learning new things. So we're getting close to the end
yeah.
of the show. Is there anybody else that's listening that has any other questions for Caroline?
Yeah, I'll come in.
Hello.
Always me. Thank you so much, Ali, for tonight, and thank you, Caroline. So if we wanted to join you on a Monday, what time is it? Is it a Zoom? And how does it work, and how much is it?
Yeah, so it would be via Zoom. So you would just contact me through my website or Facebook. I've got a Facebook page, and
Okay,
just say you just say you want to join. So the exchange you ask for, it's £10 to £20, and you would choose whatever sort of range between that felt comfortable for you. I'd send you the
okay,
Zoom link. You just set your Nest up, basically your comfortable space. Make sure that you've got a good internet connection, and make sure that your speakers and everything's working. And then we would all meet via Zoom, and it would be quite similar to the in person. I'd have a chat about the qualities of what was happening in the inner dance, and if there were any themes that were arising for me as I'd created the soundscape. Everybody goes on their journey for an hour, and then we come back together at the end just to share something of the experience, or just even to say hi, so that I've got a sense that you're grounded enough before we sort of say our goodbyes. And then I would send an email out the next day as follow up.
right, brilliant. Yeah, I
Fantastic.
mean, it's something that I definitely want to join next Monday.
Well, that would
Excellent.
be
I
wonderful.
knew that. You don't need to wait for where were you thinking you were having to travel to, Dolly?
I think it's Salford, but it's like buses, trains,
Right.
trams, bloody planes, and God knows what else.
Well,
So
that's good. Well, I'll
yeah,
see you. I'll see you on a Monday night then.
oh,
Maybe
definitely.
I can just get all the details off of you, and we can post
Sure.
a kind of flyer up on the holistic radio as
Oh,
well. I'm sure
that'd be
Andy will be
lovely.
quite happy to do that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And yeah, I'll certainly be coming back on when I get a space to talk about my experience, and maybe Dolly and I can get a chat actually,
Yeah,
and come on and talk about our experience and
that
the
would be really
difference
interesting. Yeah,
between online and in
yeah.
person.
And well, I'm sort of inviting myself into the party, but if you thought it would be helpful or appropriate, then I'd be more than happy to sort of be part of that conversation to support any integration, or have any questions about maybe some of the experiences that you had, that maybe you'd like a bit more information about what that might be about. So,
Absolutely. No,
Yeah,
feel free.
that
Yep, that sounds
Ali,
great.
that definitely sounds like a plan. But I'm definitely so Caroline. Just so I will message you online, and I
love.
will definitely be joining Monday.
Awesome. Well, you'd be most welcome, Dolly. Everybody would. I've got people from New Zealand, sometimes from all over the globe, that come together to do this really phenomenal work. So it'd be
That
nice to
that
have
is
you
the
part of
amazing
that.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
about online. It can be people
yeah,
from all over the place.
yeah.
No,
Anyway,
any final questions just before we wrap up? No,
I'd
it's
I'd
been
just like to I'd just like to pop in again. Always me. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Ali, for holding the space tonight, and thank you for bringing Caroline on. It's been another amazing show. So I just wanted to say thank you to the both of you.
well,
oh no,
thank you. Do you know it's absolutely meant to be that Caroline's on here tonight, because I was supposed to be coming on tonight and introducing Jason, who's coming to join us as a new presenter. And then there were a few messages back and forth, and And then he'd said something about Wednesday, and I was like, no, it's not Wednesday, it's Tuesday. And it was completely my fault. And I don't normally make mistakes like that. I looked back the messages and I'd initially invited him and said, how do you fancy coming on next Wednesday? And my intention, all of the different events and things that I'm going to, I'm just speaking to the people and saying, hi, how do you fancy coming on the show and telling people about what you do? And I had every intention of speaking to Caroline in person when I went to the event on Friday. But because all of a sudden, 2 days before, I was like, oh, I've not got any content and I'm really busy. And I thought, well, I'll just ask Caroline and just in case she's free. And she was. So yeah, maybe that's why that mistake
I think
happened.
so. Yeah,
So
definitely.
Dolly, yeah, Dolly definitely, and anybody else that wants to come and join us, or join Caroline on Monday night, this is for you. So
Right.
it's been an absolute pleasure. I cannot wait. I'm really excited, and I really look forward to seeing you in person. And please feel free to keep in touch as well in the holistic radio channel, and
Well done.
as a participant in the channel, you're able to post things, and let people know about your events that are coming up
Oh,
as well, and
lovely. Well,
invite any other like-minded people in as well, because we're just trying to build a community or a
certainly.
bigger.
I'll be spreading the word. And listen, thanks so much for just giving some time to Inner Dance. It's just so lovely to be able to talk about it and to discover my own language to describe something that's so potent and at times ineffable. So I really appreciated your kindness and your curiosity, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in the flesh as well.
Likewise. Well, thank you so much. It's been really enlightening, and yeah, thanks, thanks
Okay.
again, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday.
Okay. Much love to you all, and bye, Dolly. Nice chatting with you. Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Bye.